Hey everybody, Rhadamant here. Thanks for tuning in to Surviving Mars, inspired by the Expanse, as I roleplay the Martian Congressional Republic. Recap of the rules if you need it, and let's get going. So last episode, I was pushing ahead, trying to get really as much as I could get done, so that when I add colonists to my colony here, they have somewhere to live and work to do. Just a quick reminder that this is indeed a role-playing series, so I'm not min-maxing this. Some of the comments have been very min-maxy, but that's just not how I'm playing. If you want a min-max series, I'm sure they exist. Additionally, yes, I know how the transport routes work, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to use them. I like to sort of micromanage them a little bit more than maybe I should, and I accept that. But that's just the way it is. Alright, so picking up where we left off, we have just sent Holden on the Donninger up to do an expedition. Really soon here, I think what I'm going to be doing is, now that this ship just resupplied us with the necessary resources we're going to need to build up a dome.
Scanned.
What I'm going to be doing is sending the Rhadamant back to Earth, and then when it gets there, I will be sending the Rhadamant back to Mars with some colonists.
Anomaly analyzed.
Ooh, good. And the anomaly we just got is a bunch of additional polymers, which is great. That will help support the colony. All right. Another thing I could also do is a depot for the polymers. Put it next to the medium dome here. The polymers are going to help to... Polymers, well, they're used for a whole bunch of different buildings that you'll end up constructing in your Martian dome. Alright, so here we are. Bring the polymers back. Amos here, not going to have much to do. Nor will Alex, to be honest. Not for a little bit. I'm going to queue up some additional surveying. I'm going to primarily survey up here first, which is just a little bit closer to home, and then I'll start surveying places down here, and this is for possible anomalies and things like that. Alright, so Holden Class is back. We're going to have him scan this anomaly for new technologies. Just rechecking my tech tree, making sure that I'm researching the things I care most about. Alright, so this is almost half fueled. Not a whole lot going on in my hubs here. Alright, Nagata just finished. Okay, so what I'm going to do is a loading metals and dumping them here automatically. Now, what I was doing previous is manual harvest, and that's so that I don't skip anything or miss anything. Very completionist, but now I don't really need to do that as much. So all the polymers have been kicked out of here. Unfortunately, it looks like... we're refueling this ship too, because even though it's low priority, the Universal Depot here isn't necessarily moving fuel over to the Rhadamant. I don't really care what gets refueled first. Whatever gets refueled first, I'll send back to Earth so that I can pick up passengers. By default, you only really have 2 spaceships. You can get other ships if you want. There are some special events that could give you ships. You can manufacture them eventually. You could just outright buy them. So there's a bunch of different ways to get ships, but 2's enough.
Anomaly analyzed.
There's more to the
Drone printing. which is interesting, and dust repulsion, which I don't need because I have that scrubber. Dust repulsion makes it so that the solar panels require maintenance a little less often. Actually, that wouldn't be terrible eventually to get, but I don't need to push for it immediately. It's not all that necessary. All right, so we just surveyed this sector. I am surprised at the severe lack of rare metals up in this northern plateau. The southern plateau is loaded full of them. We've got 895 here, 300 here, 465, 375, and up here it's just the one node. Yes, the map is RNG, and the RNG does not like me. Alright, there's still some considerable additional trade runs to be made there. Pretty clearly, this thing's Donager's going to get refueled first, so I'm just going to set it up to medium and set this down to low. And then I guess what this can do is be sent on an expedition. I don't think there's any more expeditions for us to do outside of having colonists. Now, right when you start getting colonists, there is a phase at which your colonists won't have children. Essentially, it's like, how to explain it?
Anomaly found.
It's sort of like, just making sure that you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed, I guess. So, right when you colonize, right when you, on your first ship of colonizers for the first 10 days, I believe it is, no babies will be born or anything like that, which gives us a window to possibly do some of these expeditions that require colonists. But then once that window closes, it's going to be really, really important to keep everybody at home so that they can have babies. Basically, it's generation 0. And if I send that generation 0 off trekking on expeditions, they'll never have children, and then their lineages will die off and I will lose the game. It's not that hard. I mean, as long as you have some sexy colonists, and I don't mean that pejoratively. Literally, there's a trait called sexy, which makes them have more babies. So I'm going to handpick the ones that I send so that I maximize the amount of population growth that I can have. Let's just make sure we have a lot of science queued up, because these are anomalies that just give extra research. Donninger's almost refueled.
Research complete.
All right, so we have factory amplification. That'll help us make machine parts and electronics when we need them. I don't initially do that. I initially generally import them from Earth because it is very expensive to manufacture them yourself, and you can actually make more money just importing them and exporting. Well, no, I've changed the rules around that importation gets more expensive, but initially I might just be importing them anyway. I'm going to be focusing primarily on agriculture. And yes, ranches do make more money, but they make vegans unhappy. As a roleplay standpoint, I am going to be growing crops rather than ranching. This game allows you to ranch, and it is imbalanced. And realistically, we wouldn't be ranching on Mars. Like getting your calories from animal protein is so much, disastrously less efficient than getting your calories from even plant proteins. So there is just no way. All right, Donninger's heading back home. There's no way that if you started colonizing Mars, you'd be eating a meat-based diet. That's just super unrealistic, and that's why even if the ranches are super, super overpowered for the amount of food that they generate, I think it's pretty stupid. I think that's one of the things I would change about this game is I would make the ranches produce very little food for the amount of resources they consume, instead of the inverse. But that's my 2 cents. Now, additionally, I wanted to push down the physics tree as well. But I don't think I'm going to retask any or change my research priority. And that's so that I can get deep scanning going. Alright, there's still another trip or 2 here. And deep scanning will allow me to scan all of the map tiles that I've scanned once for deep metals or additional anomalies. It won't reveal things like concrete because that's on the surface. But it could reveal deep water wells or deep rare metals or deep well, this is already underground metals. But deep underground metals or deep rare or deep water, yeah. Or more anomalies, which would be good for science. And I have a pretty robust scanner network, which means that I could rescan the planet over at once. Now, there is a milestone to scan each map tile once, but obviously some map tiles, the ones that have like 0 buildable area, there can't be anything there because you literally can't get to the tiles, which is why, as you can see here, I've been not really scanning these mountainous ones or the edge tiles because they're least likely to have stuff. Now, the reason I'm scanning this, even though this is 30%, 29%, is that eventually I'll have to scan all of them, and there's a small chance they have stuff there. Oh, that one didn't, though. Now, another benefit is there's a research site here. So any research that's done inside this dome will get a 20% research boost. The amount of research I get, obviously depends on how many scientists I send, but the first batch of people that I send aren't likely to be scientists. The first batch of people that I send here are going to be botanists and geologists, so that they can man the farms and they can mine up the rare metals so that I'm not unbelievably poor. Alright, so this is Nagata's last trip there.
Milestone achieved.
Now, I built this dome, and the reason why I built this dome, first, I'm going to want to invest in my life support stuff, right? But another thing I wanted to do is to start to build the structures that go inside of here before I need them. So these moisture vaporators, they don't produce dust like some of the other structures do, but you can't place them on top of one another, or they have a penalty. Their repair cost is metals, so it's not all that important that they are within scrubbers. And
Research complete.
I'm just putting them along the power lines here. So when they break down, they only require metals to be repaired, and that's really not that expensive. So what they're going to allow me to do is to make a lot more water. I sent these so that I could make a lot more water, and that water will support my dome here. So I'm going to feed that all the way to the dome. Now, the dome's maintenance cost is polymers. That's why I was very glad that I got a whole bunch of polymers. Another thing I'm going to want to do is start setting up homes. Now, right now, I don't have apartments. Apartments are a little bit less comfortable than living complexes. What I'm going to do is put my living complexes... I'm going to put 2 sort of in the middle of the dome, and I'm only... Their upkeep is cement, so I can build those fully. Some other buildings that I'm going to be putting into...
Resources are low.
Well, I really should rename this. I'll call this the Mariner Dome. Let's see, what research? I have 7K worth of research queued, and I unlocked automated storage. Alright, so this dome, I guess I'll stop the drones anyway. I'll stop it right before it's built, saving me a little bit of concrete, but like not that much. Alright, the other things that we're going to want here. We are going to need... So there's different services that these provide. So like a spacebar provides drinking, and only spacebars will provide drinking. Now there's a small and a large spacebar. I'm going to do small spacebar. Another thing to consider is you can link domes together. So if you go to infrastructure here, or domes, there's dome passages. So when you lay out your domes, you might want to consider having it have one of the tiles at the edge here not built upon, so that you can connect additional domes to it. These dome passages only go so far, so take a look at the radius here. It's not infinite. And then additionally, taking a look around here, there really isn't need for another dome around here, but still I'm going to design this so that it has the capacity for you know, it has the capacity to connect to other domes. Alright, so I'm just going to pop a Moxie in here, and that will produce oxygen for me. Let's stop this right as it's about to be done. The Rhadamant, I'm going to keep it here. I'm not going to send it home.
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
Alright, so let's start laying out what we need. I initially am going to put in a farm. I'll put that farm up here. I also want a hydroponic farm. 2. I know that seems redundant, but there's a good reason. The farm takes a while for crops to mature. The hydroponic farm does not take a while. Next to the hydroponic farm, what I'm going to do is a depot of food. I'll just put the depot of food out here. I'm going to put a small I'm going to put a regular size grocer here. Maybe like this. And then I'll put the diner here as well. So this is sort of a food district. And then I have one empty space right here in case I want to have some sort of tunnel. For now, what I could do is put some sort of decoration in there, like a small garden. But if I wanted to connect this dome to another dome right here, I could put a passage. And people can commute through passages for work. They can commute for services. Another thing I ought to do is oxygen tanks. I'm going to put my oxygen tanks... I'm going to put a few of them to store some backup oxygen. I'm going to put them right next to the dome so that they're least likely to be severed. And then I'm going to do the same with water tanks as well. And that way, if my pipes get severed, it's not that big of a deal because all of my storage is right next to the dome. This is good security. I'm also generating a ton of water right now. What I can do is actually just turn off this water extractor entirely. Power it down. Because I'm generating enough from vapor. And then I can also upgrade, although it would have a initial cost of polymers. I could upgrade all of these moisture. I'm literally moisture farming. I could upgrade it by investing some polymers. So I didn't stop the construction of this farm in time. So this farm will be growing. The initial crop I'm going to have is soybeans. Soybeans have a pretty decent food harvest and also increase the quality of the soil a little bit to increase yields later on. The other farms here I'm not going to fully construct. I'm just going to deliver the materials. And they'll be ready to go. Nagata, you are needing some sort of transport task. Oh, some drone is still constructing that. Oh, they did it anyway. All right, so here, as you can see, let's take a look. So growth time, 4 souls. So wheatgrass grows in 1 soul. I'll probably end up growing leaf crops initially. So it's a decent amount of food for the time spent. The reason being, the harvest here is 5. So actually, let's do wheatgrass, which is like very little amount of food, but it doesn't take very long. And as you can see here, you could change the style of the buildings here. It's just cosmetic. Same with these apartment living complexes. All right, so the grocer here, I don't want to finish that off. Let's not allow that finished.
There's
The known anomaly gives me arcology and Martian Adaptability. Martian Adaptability is pretty good. I like that. But that might not be for the next thing I do. It wouldn't hurt for me to get a little bit more money, to be honest. I did super invest in outsourcing science. I'm good. I don't need to do anything. Okay, so the traveling back to Earth is almost 75% of the way there. Before that's completed. And this is just to keep my maintenance costs down.
Sector scanned.
Alright, new sector scanned. So yeah, there was really nothing up there, which is too bad, but like, kind of expected it. Another thing I'm going to want to do is to have another landing pad somewhat close to the dome, because, I'll put it here, because the colonists that land don't want to land here and then walk all the way to the dome. That's pretty far. More planetary anomalies were just found, so let's see. Okay, I could do that one. I can do this one. Yeah, I'll do this one for the RC Commander. So I wasn't really using the RC Commander. So off the Commander goes. So the oxygen tanks are starting to fill up. And the water tanks are starting to fill up. Oh, there's some meteor strikes around me. But I am currently out of power. I've been adding a lot of things that require power, so let's go ahead and fix that. I drained all my power storage overnight. So one way to deal with that is to turn off certain facilities to not work at nighttime, so that when the sun's not out, the power consumers don't consume power. That's one easy way to do it. Another one is just to add a ton more power generation and storage. Now the issue with storage, I could add more power storage as well. Let's get a full ring, though. Right. The atomic accumulators would be really, really nice, but I can't yet afford them. What is here?
Research complete.
General training just got done. That allows for people without specializations not to be less useful.
Sector scanned.
New sector scanned. Alright, let's add some more power storage. I've got the polymers. And they're sitting within the scrubber, so. Alright, so this was the ship that just did the expedition. Now I have the ability to send a passenger ship. So the passenger rocket has 22 slots. And what I need to do is to make sure that I am sending a decent amount of people. So let's see. I don't want people with negative traits, like melancholy or hypochondriac. Stuff like that is no good. I'm going to want a medic or two. I'm going to want botanists, but not hypochondriac botanists if I can help it. Geologist, let's see, medic. And then once I select someone, it locks them in. So I don't want a gambler if I can help it. Wow, a lot of these people have negative traits. Alright, so that's a good medic. So I've got 2 medics that I like. Man, I have a lot of losers in this selection pool. Alright, that's a pretty good geologist. This geologist or botanist is a bit of a loner, but it has a lot of other good traits. That's a good botanist. It's a pretty good geologist, despite the fact that they're an alcoholic. So these guys are celebrities, so when they're comfortable, I'll send that one. Colby Carson, and then this one's also a celebrity. When they're comfortable, they increase funding a little bit. I'm probably not initially going to need too many officers. All right, so here's a geologist who's sexy and religious and fit. All right, those are good ones. Gamer, sexy, fit. All right, I'm going to have a lot of geologists, but I need more botanists. And I'm at the end of my botanist. So what I could do is filter. Specialization. Let's say no one but botanists. Let's take a look at the remaining botanists. Composed, but also melancholy. Gambler, vegan. Let's not keep gamblers. I'm not going to be able to keep gamblers happy because I don't plan on having gambling in my colony, if I can help it. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 botanists. That's not great, but I can have people that don't have specializations be botanists. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 geologists. So the rest of them, let's remove this filter. What I'm going to do, instead of a job filter, is filter for flaws. I'm going to say no negative flaws. The only negative flaws... Yeah, let's try it for no negative flaws. So then the remainder that gets in here, that gets placed in here, are without flaws. And I'm going to go through them and pick the ones I want. So sexy, I'm going to take... Nerd is not bad. I don't need scientists or engineers for right now. Another sexy officer, that's good. 2 officers are fine. I'm just probably not going to need more than 2. I'll add another medic. Probably more medics than I need. And now the remainder should be no specializations that are good. That remain happy. Workaholics are nice. Alright, that's... We got 4 medics. That's probably more than I need, but whatever. 2 officers, which is fine. 9 no specializations. 3 botanists. That's actually low. Let's see. Are there... Let's check if there's other botanists that I can... add in. So here is just, let's filter specialization, none but botanists. So I have a lot of medics, so hypochondriacs aren't going to be much of a problem. So I can bring in some hypochondriacs, and they'll stay happier. Plus I can bring in vegans, because I'm not planning on having meat proteins. Coward, that's fine. Let's do one more botanist. Not an idiot. Yeah. Alright, so 6 botanists is pretty good. 4 geologists. Alright, I like this. We're going to launch. 22 passengers. Alright, let's go ahead and construct these living complexes. And construct everything else, because they're coming now. So then what we're also going to want here is security station. I'll put this here. We're going to want maybe an art store for shopping. We are going to want an infirmary. And then, not initially, but eventually, we're going to want the ability to have children here, right? So, a nursery, a playground, and eventually stuff like a Martian University and a school. Martian universities are for adults, but schools are for children. So I can have a school here, but I'm going to suspend it. Suspend this children-based stuff, because initially I'm not allowed to have children. So let's think about their requirements here, real briefly, while time passes. So, people want relaxation, drinking, social. Do I have a bar? No, I don't have a bar. Dining is social food. What else relaxation do I have? Alright, I'm going to need a space bar. Put that here. Right next to the nursery and the diner. That doesn't make sense. Let's put the space bar over here near the security station and the art store. It doesn't really matter. I'm just role-playing layout here. Not that anyone cares. And then the infirmary will go where the children are. And then that leaves a dome passage ability to be here, out this way. Also leaves a dome passage ability here, out that way. For now, I'm going to fill these with parks and gardens. So this has space for 28 people. I'm sending 22.
Meteor shower incoming.
Oh, we got a meteor shower coming. Let's go ahead and just keep adding power as we increase the amount of buildings that we have in our facilities. We're going to need more power. So at night, it's really when my power drains for obvious reasons. What else could we turn off at night? Concrete doesn't need to be running at night. Water probably does not, but I'm right now purposely building up a nice big supply of water for terraforming purposes. Also just for security storage. Alright, Nagata, you are full up.
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
Where is their metals? Alright, there's metals here. New anomaly. Sending the Holden.
Resources are low.
How low? Yep, very, very low. Alright, so these facilities are all built. Most of them have upkeep of concrete, which is not going to hurt me too much, given that I have a lot of concrete. I have 400 of it. This dome is habitable because it's being given water and oxygen. And we just need to get people in it. So 30%, they're on their way. And we have a lot of empty space here for additional facilities. Additionally, on top of all that, we could, because it doesn't cost us too much, put in a large garden that can help out people's, comfort. An open air gym, it's costly in terms of polymers, but like I've got the polymers right now. And then in here, I can just have small gardens. Let's see, oh, that goes outside. Small fountain, maybe a little celebratory statue.
There's more to the back.
So we got home collective and out dome maintenance. Both are pretty good. I'll queue them up, but they're really, really expensive. I'm likely to remove them from the queue before we actually research them. All right, so the Rhadamant is ready to go. Let's see, is there some... Yeah, resources, if I go there. And that only costs drones. Breakthrough. I might want the breakthrough. Yeah, let's do the breakthrough. That's a lot of drones to go. But I had a lot of drones in my colony. Now, the only problem is it pulls drones from random spaces. So it pulled drones mostly from this middle hub, a little bit from the left hub, and almost none from this east one. So I can redistribute some of these drones here. So 5, 5, and 7. Let's do 6, 6, and 5. Alright, so I didn't run out of power that nightfall. We had enough stored that we were alright. 55% of the way there. And the breakthrough we're getting is...
Breakthrough discovered.
Oh, that's kind of a nice one. Domes are far less expensive. Unfortunately, domes don't tend to require things that we can't afford. They do require polymers, but they also require metal and concrete in high quantities, and it's not like we're low on metal or concrete. This concrete deposit's almost actually depleted entirely. Oh. Ship's sitting right in the middle of the landing pad. And I'll probably immediately send this back out once I have the fuel for the other one. That required drones. The one up here. Nope. There. Just spreading the drones around. So 776. And we're about to get colonists. Oh, oh yeah, I did want to make the infirmary. Alright, so another thing to notice is the night shifts. Working the night shift causes extra sanity damage So if you can help to not work night shifts, do it.
Sector scanned.
We're not finding a whole lot of stuff sector scanning, are we? Alright, come on, colonists. So they're bringing 1 food per passenger, which is not a lot of food startup, but due to the rules, I can't import food from Earth, which is why it's really important to get food production going pronto, or you will starve. I don't want to starve. Alright, Nagata's still moving the metals around. Alright, we're about to land, which is a milestone. It will give us a little boost of science. Here we go. Landing as close to the dome as possible.
Milestone achieved.
Full of hope and determination.
And now, for the next
first
10...
founders have set foot on the Red Planet.
Okay. The next 10 turns is the new beginning. It's sort of the trial period where...
Crop failure reported.
Yeah, I know. Alright, so now the botanists
New
are
colonists
hard
have
at work.
arrived.
Oh, I also need to make the rare metals extractor. I paused it for a bit. So let's get that constructed now. And here you can see health, sanity, comfort, morale. These are all very, very important indicators at how well you are administering. Up here you can see how many free jobs there are. There's 7. How much unemployment? There's 0. How many free houses? There's 6. How much homelessness? There's 0. So everybody has a job. Now some of the people that have jobs in the wrong roles, like this geologist here. So I am going to click this geologist and tell him to work the rare metals extractor. I'm going to close one of the jobs of each diner, because I don't need them working in the diner like that. Where else are they working? Okay, so you are going to be assigned to that workplace. My officers are going to have one of each shift. I just unemployed one of them. Let's assign them back to the... So here's the officers. What the officers do... I guess I should start explaining this. So let me set it on slow. When your people have sanity damage, like they can have sort of like mental breaks, and they become renegades, and once they're renegades for life. They're renegades basically forever, and they will never not be renegade. You don't want renegades running around your colony if you can help it. So... yeah, try to keep everybody happy, but having officers working helps to keep the renegades down. And then the botanists are primarily concerned with crop tending. You've got botanists both in the hydroponic farm and the regular farm. In the diner here, this allows people to fulfill their dining, social, and food requirements as long as someone's working. Unfortunately for me, I don't have enough. There's also food and shopping requirements at the grocer. I don't have enough people to keep both shifts open. There is no necessary requirement for the night shift. So what I'm going to do is the art store here, I'm going to fire the one person working in the art store and have them move over to the diner. The art store fulfills a shopping requirement. Stop that work shift. A shopping requirement that is, I think, less important than, eating. So I'm in my founder stage, which means for the next 9 days, no babies. I also have 2 celebrities, so this might add, if they're comfortable, if their comfort is nice and high. It might add some additional funding. We'll see. And what makes people comfortable is if they're in the jobs they're supposed to be in. So, for instance, you look at Colby here. Because she's an officer and she's working a security station, she's happy. This concrete extractor is gone, so I'm just going to break it down. Now, personally, it honestly doesn't even make sense to have security station early on. Generally speaking, you're not going to get renegades really early on, but I'm role-playing, so I'm going to put it in anyway. We got some new anomalies, a whole bunch of new anomalies. Look at this. 1, 2, and 3. Meteor strike sometimes causes the research anomalies, but you have to make sure not to get hit by meteorites when you do those. Over here, I'm going to just cosmetically flatten out the hole that the concrete caused. I'm sitting on 500 concrete, so it's not urgent that I get another concrete extractor up. I will need one eventually, but I don't need one immediately because I have a nice surplus.
Anomaly analyzed.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's a concrete node close enough. No. If I look at my RC Commander radius, I don't have any concrete nodes that are close enough to exploit the resources.
Anomaly found.
More meteorite anomalies.
Milestone achieved.
I just produced food. So the reason I had this hydroponic going is so that right at the first few days
Milestone
I don't run out of food too bad.
For the first time, a human has been born on...
Okay, humans have been born on Mars. So let's get the nurseries up and then soon the school. The school does require a considerable amount of electronics. So the sort of founder stage is over, and that means that children can be born. A new rocket. Okay, I'll test a new rocket prototype. Oh boy. So this is the Submerg, I guess. And that might backfire on me. Might be good, might be bad, who knows. Well, that's about actually all the time I have for this episode, guys. So, I'm going to wrap this up. I did, however, hit the milestone of actually sending people, which is what I was aiming for this episode. If you have tips, tricks, feedback for me, drop me a line. Just a reminder, this is not a min-max series. This is a roleplay series, so I'm not necessarily making the most strategic decisions. I'm just trying to roleplay as I am the MCRN. Catch you all later. Thanks for watching. Adios.